Hi everyone, so today I have the great pleasure to be talking to Francesco Giubilei to get the lowdown on the current situation in Italy and to chat about his most recent article that was picked up by the American Conservative.com and also on Zero Hedge, entitled "The EU's Betrayal of Italy, Maybe Its Undoing." Francesco is an author and professor based in the great country of Italy and writes for numerous Italian newspapers and websites and has published 6 books, including The History of European Conservative Thought, which was published just last year, his first book to be published in English. Francesco is a professor at the Fortunato University of Benevento and president of the Tattarelli Foundation, Italy's leading conservative organisation. In 2017, Francesco founded the movement of ideas Nazione Futura, a conservative think tank and intellectual movement. And most recently, Francesco was included in Forbes' list of 100 most influential young people in Italy, which is very impressive. So all links to Francesco's books and website in the description box below. So thanks for joining me today, Francesco. It's a real pleasure for me, and I hope my Italian pronunciation was okay and all that.
Definitely. Thank you very much for your invitation.
Okay. I was thinking, Francisco, it'd probably be 3, maybe 4 parts to this, if that's okay. So the first would be just get a quick, a general feeling about the situation in Italy. Second would be your article about the EU. Third, then maybe talk about China filling that gap that's left by the EU, and then maybe in the finish, your final paragraph, you had you were saying like a new direction possibly for Italy, or at least that's what you would hope for. So maybe if we can, there's a lot there anyway. You could talk for hours of this coronavirus. There's so much to it. So I guess the first thing we can start off with is the present situation in Italy. So what's the current status now as of today in Italy? Are the numbers still rising fast, or have you hit peak yet?
Yes, unfortunately, the situation in Italy is still very difficult. Every day we have a lot of death, and our hospital, especially the hospital in the north of Italy, are full of people because the coronavirus spread all over our country, but especially in some region of the north of Italy, like Lombardia. Lombardia is one of the most important region in Italy. More or less 7 million of people live in Lombardia, and it's the region of Milan, so the second city after Rome in our country. But the coronavirus spread also in Veneto and also in Emilia-Romagna and Piemonte. The north of Italy is the most developing part of our country. The Lombardia and Veneto are the 2 biggest economy inside of our country. So the situation is very difficult, first of all, for a sanitary point of view, and second, for an economic and a social point of view. But now the focus obviously is to try to save more lives that we can. So our doctors, our sanitary people are doing a great job. But the big problem is that in this moment we have too many illness people. So our hospital, the hospitals in the north of Italy and in Lombardia are the greatest hospital in our country, but also maybe some of the greatest hospital all over Europe. But the problem is not the quality of our hospital. The problem is the number of beds that we have inside our hospital. Because especially for the old people in Italy, we have a lot of old people, maybe compared to other countries inside the European Union, and a lot of people, thousands of people, every day arrive in our hospital. So the emergency is trying to find new hospital. Lombardia made a new hospital in 7 days. They built a new hospital in 7 days. So we are doing a great job. But what we need now, and maybe after we'll talk about it, is an help from the European Union.
Okay, yeah. I think the situation with hospital beds is pretty much the same in every country. Nobody expected this avalanche of patients, you know. I wouldn't say that it's just unique to Italy, the lack of hospital beds. It's pretty much everywhere in Europe, you know. So Italy's you're in lockdown at the moment. Are you? What's the situation if you want to leave your house? Do you have to sign a form like in France, or if you want to go for a walk or do some exercise? I mean, how strict is it at the moment?
Yes, we are in lockdown. Only the people who works in some essential service, like for example supermarkets, can go out. But for the normal people, we have to write like a paper where we explain why we are going out from our house. So we can go out only to go to a supermarket, only if we have a very important and necessary motivation. But there are still some jobs. I own an independent publishing house. So, for example, for the media world, we can go to office because the information and the communication and the media world is considered an essential service. But for some industry, for some big companies, the people can't work. So that's why it's a big problem for our economy, because now a lot of industry, a lot of company are closed. So now we stay at home, and maybe for 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe also 1 month, the situation is fine, is normal. But in a medium and long-term perspective, the situation will be a disaster. Will be a disaster not only for our economy, but in general will be a disaster for the European Union economy. A lot of people don't remember that Italy is the third economy in the European Union. So after Germany and France, we are the third economy, and we are the second industry after Germany. So if the Italian economy fall down, also the European Union economy fall down. That's a very important point, that we have to remember that in our country live 60 million of people. So we're not a small country.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. Just with regards leaving your, like, if you want to leave your house or apartment block, how do you get the form? I mean, where do you carry it? I mean, how does it work? Does somebody
you have to carry? Yeah.
Is there somebody posted in your local community you go to, or how do you get the form?
You can carry the form with you, like a piece of paper that you can print at home. But also, if you don't have this piece of paper and the police stop you, they ask, why are you outside? And if you explain the right motivation, you can write this piece of paper with the police. But the important is that you explain why you are out of your home. A lot of the police stop a lot of people that are out of their home only to have, I don't know, to do maybe jogging, but not near their house. They are doing jogging in maybe in a garden in 10 or 20 kilometers from their house, or they stop some people that want to have, I don't know, like an holiday, and that's not regular. So there are a lot of control. It's quite impressive, because if you walk in Rome, you have to know that Rome, after Bogota, is the second city in the world for the traffic. So in Rome there are a lot of cars in the normal time. And now it's quite impressive because if you take your car, there is maybe no one in the city, and there are plenty of carabinieri cars or police cars, and they stop you, they ask, why are you here? It's like living in a state of police, and I mean, that's quite impressive compared to 1 month ago, only 1 month ago.
Yeah, we've all seen the movie The Italian Job, so we know how crazy the streets of Rome can be. So we'll touch on, you were mentioning the economic aspects, so we'll touch on that a little later, if that's okay. So I've just, in the Financial Times, it was out yesterday, they were saying that there's some cracks beginning to appear, especially in the south of Italy, with pressures on the lockdown and the martial law. I mean, is there a bit of looting going on, or what's the situation down in the south?
Yes. You know, the south of Italy is in an ordinary moment, it's a difficult place, because you know that in the south of Italy there is a strong mafia system. So especially in some part of, unfortunately, some wonderful region of our country, where when we talk about, for example, Sicily, when we talk about Naples, first of all, we have to say that the majority of people are great people, are working people, are normal people. But there is a minority of people that is linked to mafia. And you know, mafia is very strong in the south. So in this particular moment, especially I want to talk to you about the situation in Palermo. Palermo is the capital of Sicily. It's a big city in Sicily, because 1,800,000 people live in Palermo. So in some supermarket, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, some people want to buy some product inside the supermarket. They carry this product and they don't want to pay for this product. So they go out to the supermarket with some food without paying the food. So immediately the people who work inside the supermarket call the police, and now in some big supermarket in Palermo, there are the policemen outside the supermarket, and they're still quite impressive. The problem will be, how I said before, in a medium long term, for the social problem that is linked to the economic problem, because a lot of people in the south of Italy works in black, works without contract. So there is an official economy. Maybe Italy is a richest country than the statistic explain, because we have an official economy and we have a very strong black economy. And in the south, a lot of people work with black economy. But now, in this situation, a lot of jobs linked to the black economy are closed. So a lot of people starting not having money. And this situation can be maybe possible to stay in this situation for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, but not for 3 months or 4 months, because there will be some very difficult social problem, and also now some measures of the biggest city of the south ask to the state to send the army, to try to help Carabinieri and try to help the police to stay the situation in a normal context.
Yeah, well, again, I don't think it's unique to Italy. I think these kind of problems will probably be arising in a lot of European countries. It's you know, it's going to be interesting to see how long will people last in a lockdown. How long, like if it goes on for a few months, you know, how people's temperament. So just looking at the figures from yesterday, I got some interesting numbers. Numbers of people dead, numbers of people that have passed away. So countries that are near to China, we have Taiwan is 5, Hong Kong is 4, Russia is 30, Mongolia is 0, But okay, fair enough. There's nothing in Mongolia really. It's just vast plains of nothingness. South Korea is 169, but that's 3 per million, and Australia is 27. It's 1 per million. But initially, this is as of yesterday, you've over 13,000 dead. So how is this possible? I mean, what's particular about Italy?
It's difficult. It's difficult to say. Maybe the way it's important. Also, the way how our doctors decide that a person is dead because of the coronavirus. Maybe in other country, an old patient is, I don't know, 80 years old, 90 years old, died, and the hospital of other countries say he's died because he's older and not because it's linked to the coronavirus. Yeah. Our country, compared maybe to China, is very transparent. I think that all the Europe has to say thank you to Italy, because from the first day of this emergency, we are transparent. We are totally transparent. We say from the first day what is the real situation in our country. We explain to other European countries, guys, the situation is very, very problematic. It will be a disaster, not only for us, but also for the other European countries. A lot of countries didn't listen to us. And after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks, they are in a situation worse than Italy. So we explain from the first moment how difficult is the situation. And every day our government do like a press conference where say to the media which are the number of people that are that did the coronavirus. And so we are very transparent. Maybe that's why the number of people that are illness in our country compared to the people that are illness in other European country and other countries all over the world are lowest than Italy.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, so maybe they're downplaying it in other countries. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I just wanted to go through some of the factors that have been floating about. Just rather quickly, we'll move on to the European Union stuff now soon, Francesco. Sorry, but people are interested. I mean, you're in the epicenter of it all, really. So it's Italy has an old population. That could be a factor, but it's the second oldest in the world. But so is Japan and Germany, and it's the issue of reporting coronavirus deaths is there a clear, I mean, I don't know initially what way they're doing it. Is there a clear distinction between people dying because of coronavirus or people dying with underlying conditions that also have coronavirus?
There is a big debate about this point, also in the media, also inside the scientific community, because they are talking about which are the people that are really dead because of the coronavirus, or which are the people that are dead because other pathologies linked with the coronavirus. So now the system in Italy, and that's probably why we have a great number of people that are dead because of the coronavirus. Now the system is that if a people dead with the coronavirus, we say that these people is dead because of the coronavirus. So that's also why every day we have hundreds or sometimes thousands of people that die in our country because of the coronavirus. Maybe some of these people also in a normal situation, maybe not so early, maybe after 1 week, maybe after 10 days, I don't know. But in a normal situation, they died. So the coronavirus is only a way, that's why they died earlier. But for the system, if they had the coronavirus, they are considered people dead because of the coronavirus.
Okay, and are Italian people questioning these figures? Are you allowed to question them in the media, or what way is it work at the moment?
No, fortunately, we are still a democracy. So fortunately, yes, in this situation, maybe compared to China, in our country, we can say what we want, and we have a lot of free media. We have a lot of, maybe we have more progressive and liberal media, but that's the problem in the whole the European Union, or maybe in all the world. But we also have some great conservative media, so we can have normal debate about this situation, and also maybe sometimes we have too many debate. Maybe we have the opposite problem, because a lot of people talking about some scientific point of view. Now, I'm not a doctor, so now we are talking about the political point of view, the economic point of view. In general, we're having an overall in our country, but we are not talking specifically about the coronavirus, because we are not doctors. And in our country, a lot of normal people, they one day they get up and they are doctors. Everybody in our country now are doctors, so they want to talk about all the effects linked to the coronavirus, not the truth. That's not true. And I mean, that's not good, because you create in a difficult situation a lot of chaos. And now we don't need chaos. Now we need order. Now we need right information and not wrong information.
Yeah. But I guess it's just natural. People will do that anyway. Are people? I'm just curious. Are people questioning the link with China? I mean. You know, the garment industry. I mean, you have a lot of Chinese in the north of Italy. Like, there's a town, it's called Prato, is it? Prato, with 60,000 Chinese. I mean, Prato
is the city near Firenze in Toscana.
Yeah, that's 60,000 is like it's like a small city in Ireland, you know. So, and you have direct flights from Rome to Wuhan and Milan to Wuhan. I mean, are people just questioning that link, I wonder, initially, or?
Yes, there is a big division between progressive and liberal and the conservative like me. We are saying, as a conservative, that the China and the Chinese government has some important responsibility, especially in the first part of this epidemic, because the Chinese government didn't explain to the world how was the situation in their country. The Chinese government didn't explain to the world how serious was the situation. And so when the situation happened in our country and in other countries all over the world, we weren't prepared. The other country in the world understand the importance of this situation after that the coronavirus spread in Italy. Because when the coronavirus spread in Italy, a country of the G7, the third economy in the European Union, a country in the Western, that is a democracy, so that explained from the first day how the situation was serious, all the world understand. But for China, especially maybe I read some articles, some important articles written by serious journalists and serious scientists that explain that the coronavirus spread probably in China in November or in December. But the world know about the coronavirus only in January or maybe in February. And I mean, that's not acceptable. We have to say that the Chinese government has strong responsibility in this situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, what we're seeing in the coronavirus, a month is a long time in this. In this coronavirus, the numbers just keep exploding day to day. So you can imagine if you had a month's notice, how better it would have been to fix the problem. Let's move on to the EU and your article. And it was a very good article, and I'll leave the link below for people to read later. So in what ways did the European Union abandon Italy, or are abandoning Italy? I mean, you used the word betrayal. I mean, that's quite a strong word.
Yeah. That's the correct word, I think. We can talk about this point for maybe 2 hours, maybe also more. But I'll try to summarize it. So first of all, we have to say, I already said it, but we have to say another time, what is Italy? Italy is a country that founded the European Union. We founded the European Union. We are the third country for people and the third economy in the European Union. We give every year 20 billion of euro to the European Union, and in a particular situation where thousands of people died. That's the point. It's not an economic or a financial crisis. We are not living a crisis because the Italian or our government spend money without interest, and so we are in a crisis. We are in bankrupt. That's not the situation. The situation is that we need money to try to build hospital. We need money to try to help people. We need money to try to help the older people. So, at the third country in the European Union, we asked 3 weeks ago for an help to the European Union. The answer was silence. No one answered to our question. After that, the president of the European Bank, Christine Lagarde, made a speech where she said the European Bank will not use the wherever it takes. That is a famous expression made by Mario Draghi, the previous president of the BCE, and where Christine Lagarde explains that the European Union will not help Italy. We can summarize in this situation. And after that speech, our stock exchange in Milan had the worst loss in the history of our stock exchange. So after that, maybe in 3 or 4 days, in a week, the coronavirus spread all over Europe. The coronavirus spread to France and Germany, and suddenly the European Union changed the way to fight this situation. If tomorrow we will do a referendum in our country and we ask to the Italians, do you want to leave the European Union? I think that the 80%, maybe the 90% of Italians say, yes, we want to leave the European Union. Also the liberal people, also the progressive people, also the leftist people who were in favor of the European Union before this situation are now against the European Union. Even our President of the Republic, Mattarella, made a speech where he said the European Union must help Italy in the common interest. Because what some people don't understand is that if Italy fall down and if Italy decide to go out from the European Union is dead. Because we had Brexit a few months ago, a few years ago, and if now we have an Italy exit, the European Union is finished. Because now we have two different groups. In one side we have the Mediterranean groups, and in the other side we have the northern country of Europe and Germany. The Mediterranean group is not only Italy, it's Italy, Spain, and Portugal, and also France in part. So if Italy, Spain, and Portugal, and France, so 200 million people decide to go out of the European Union, what are we talking about? Everything is finished. And if the European Union can help a country such as Italy in this situation, what is the importance of the European Union? Why we have to stay in a union where can't help our country in a situation where thousands of people death because of a virus, because of an emergency sanitary situation, not an economy or a financial situation?
Yeah, well put, Francesco. Well, just before the crisis, the coronavirus a crisis in your country, what would Italy have been 50-50, pro-EU, anti-EU? What, like if there was a referendum before, maybe in this...
Yeah, it's split into two parts. Yeah, I think so, more or less.
Okay. Yeah, because I know like there is a mechanism for emergencies, natural emergencies in the European Union, or natural or health emergency, or any kind of emergencies that a member country of the EU can ask for financial help immediately from the European Union, and that wasn't forthcoming. What about Corona bonds? Cheap loans and shared debt guaranteed by the richer members of the EU. It seems to be already a 9 by Germany.
No, what we ask is not some some titles that are guaranteed only by the rich country. What we are saying is that this is a particular situation. This is an emergency situation. This is not an ordinary moment. This is an extraordinary moment. So what we need is not that Germany take the ordinary Italian debt. We don't want that the German people pay for our debt. We never want that. We pay for our debt, like as we always do. We are saying, in this situation, that is not only an Italian situation, because in Spain, the fourth country of the European Union, thousands of people dead, the same as Italy, but also in France, but also in Germany. What we ask is, in this particular situation, we have to do a new debt, a new common debt, but a debt that is linked only to the coronavirus, not an ordinary debt, extraordinary debt. And we want that this debt is shared by everybody. Because if Germany and the other northern countries like Holland, and we have to know that in Holland they are doing a fiscal dumping because they have a lot of Italian companies that have the legal office in Holland, like for example Fiat. Fiat is an Italian company, but they have the fiscal residence in Holland. If this country wants that Italy or Spain take the money from the European mechanism of stability, we understand that if we take this money only Italy or only Spain, in the next year the situation for our country will be similar to Greece in 2008, because we understand that they want to destroy our economy. They want to take our industry. They want to take our company. They want to do a new troika in our country. We understand that. So we don't want that. We say, okay, this is a situation of everybody. Everybody has to pay for a public debt, but not the ordinary debt, the extraordinary debt, only the money linked to the coronavirus. I mean, it's a normal question. If some countries don't want to share the debt, okay, it's fine. But we don't stay in the European Union. We say, hello, thank you. We have great relation with the United States. We have great relation with the Mediterranean, in the Mediterranean area. We are the seventh economy in the world. We have great relation with the Asian country. We have great relation with South America. We are not a small economy. We'll try another way. But it's not possible to stay inside the European Union and ask for help. And in this situation, the answer is no, or the answer is you have to do your debt, and for us it doesn't matter what's happened to Italy. It's not solidarity. It's not the European Union.
That's a fair point. I didn't think of that actually. So you kind of like you want help, but with no strings attached. I mean, it should be a shared.
We pay. We have a strong public debt. We know that. But Italy every time has paid for its debt. We have great industry, we have great people, and we will pay for the debt, for the normal debt, but it's not a normal situation. That's the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, surely they could have seen that their inactivity would cause problems. I mean, do you think it was just EU bureaucracy, incompetence, or is this just they're really restrained in what they can do? I mean, the reality bites. I mean, why were they so slow to act? I mean, because you can see that if they don't act, it's obviously going to cause problems in the future for the European Union.
This crisis explains that the sovereign national entities are died. This crisis explains that the only way to help people, to help the citizens, are national state. The solidarity comes from national state, don't come from the sovereign national entity. A sovereign national entity that in this situation where thousands of European people every day die, ask 10 days to think about a solution. I mean, what we are talking about? Why they ask for 10 days to think about the solution? We propose a solution. We have to find a solution in 1 day, in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this moment, the European Union is thinking about how to act. I mean, it's not normal. Imagine if you go to a guy in Lombardia or a guy in Madrid that has lost his parent or that has lost his children or his grandparents and is hungry about this situation, and the European Union say, okay, we have to think about it. What the normal people, or imagine some people that now are without a job because of this crisis, and they need money to buy food in the supermarket, because there are a lot of poor people, but not in Italy, also in Portugal, also in Spain, also in other countries of the European Union, and they need money now, and the answer is we have to think about it inside the Brussels buildings, inside the establishment in Strasbourg. The normal people can't understand that.
Yeah, good point. I mean, it's kind of an accident waiting to happen, you know. I mean, power centralized in Brussels and Strasbourg, and you know, it's not going to work really when we really need the help all over the European Union. I noticed that Austria was very quick to close its border within a few days, really, or it was very fast. I mean, it was straight out of the block. I mean, Switzerland, to be fair, was a little slower, but and also there's a lot of medical equipment. I mean, you mentioned in your article Turkey. It held a lot of medical equipment that Italy already had purchased, and then you have France withholding to the UK, and you have Germany withholding equipment to Switzerland, and even Italy has withheld some medical equipment to Ireland. I mean, it's that famous saying, all is fair in love and war, you know, or you know, the point is that, you know, when reality bites, and you know, you do tend to look after your own country first, and the EU sense of unity and cooperation and open borders and free movements of people, it's in a crisis, you know, we revert to the safety mechanisms of national cohesion and strong borders. And you know, just it's kind of ironic that they all used to laugh at Donald Trump when he talked about his borders and protecting his borders and America first. I don't think they're laughing now, you know. Merkel and Macron, I mean, so do you think this is it's the final nail in the coffin of the European Union?
In a political way, I don't know, but in the sentiment of the people, in the sentiment of the normal people, the European Union is finished. In the sentiment of the Italian people, nothing can come back like before. I mean, in the feeling of the people, we feel that the European Union betrayed us. In Italy, we still have a strong anti-European sentiment in the last years. Compared to 10 years ago or 15 years ago, Italy was one of the more Europeistic countries in the European Union. We really our people really loved the dream of the European Union, but not this European Union. This European Union is only based on an economic view, is not based on a cultural and on a social view. So this European Union is, in my opinion, is finished as a concept. What we need is a Europe of nations. What we need is a Europe based on the Christian roots. What we need is a Europe based on a common cultural heritage. We don't need this European Union based only on the economic and the financial system. We don't need this European Union without value. We don't need this European Union that betrayed our Christian roots.
Yeah, that's well put, Francesco. Well, with Brexit, I think, you know, I mean, it's severely weakened the unity of the European Union. I mean, personally, I think the EU is just a Ponzi scheme for German banks. You know, I mean, all the money does be rerouted to Germany, and you know, do you think that if there could be maybe in the future a return to the Italian lira, maybe backed by gold or something like that? I mean,
It's difficult. It's difficult to say now. I have to be. I have to be a magician to answer to your question, because now every day the situation changes. So it's very difficult to answer to this question. But I think that maybe in the future a possibility is that the European Union fall down, but all the system, not only because Italy decided to exit or Spain decided to exit, but all the system can fall down. I don't know, because it depends also in the way that the European Union will find a solution in the next day. But now the feeling with the normal people is definitely lost. It's like when you are fall in love with another people and the love it's finished. It's difficult to come back.
Yeah. Well, I've seen on social media, like, there's Italian people burning EU flags. I've seen that on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen that. I mean, there is a lot of anger in Italy for sure. One thing before we finish and go on to China, just on a practical sense, like if you were Christian Lagarde or some other bigwig in the European Union, what practical ways could the European Union help Italy in the immediate future? What could be the...
Now the Corona bond, the Euro bond, immediately. Immediately we need the Corona bond. That's the answer. The more logical, I mean, that's not a strange answer, a very difficult answer. We are talking about something strange, something impossible. It's something that there is only a political motivation, because the European Union is not adopting this solution. The political motivation is linked to the political volunteer of Angela Merkel.
That's they've already said no to that. I mean, the Germans said no.
I don't know. I don't know what will be the situation in the next week. I have an idea, a bad idea, that finally our government will accept the European mechanism of stability, but will accept a different European mechanism of stability that is maybe with the new name, with the new solutions, but the point is similar. And okay. I don't know how will be the situation in our country in the next month if our government decided to accept this solution.
Yeah, and Spain is looking on with interest as well. Okay, so thanks for that, Francesco. And I just quickly about China. I mean,
yeah.
So China, it comes into the fold. I mean, it's seen a gap there. I mean, the Chinese help, you could say, in a time of crisis. It looks to me, it's propaganda to me, you know, and great propaganda for the Chinese. I mean, they're helping for sure, but I don't know. I mean, what's the situation at the moment in Italy with the Chinese helping and all that?
They are sending some help, some sanitary instruments, and we say thank you for the help, because we need help in this situation. But we don't have to forget, because of this help, what is the situation in China, and we don't have to forget which are the responsibility of the Chinese government. We have to forget that China is not a democracy. We have not to forget that the Chinese government had strong responsibility in the first moment of the spread of the coronavirus in Asia, and especially in China. And we don't have to forget the way that China acted in the economic system. I usually works and have a great relation with the Balkan wars, with Albania, with Serbia, with Macedonia. And I, like every day, talk with the people of this country, this important country in the Balkans, because Italy has a strong relation with the Balkans area. Mm-hmm. And they explain me the way that China acted. China invest billions of dollars, billions of money in this country, in small economy, in small country. They buy all the strategic asset They buy, for example, harbors, they buy a lot of streets, they buy a lot of buildings, and they act with an apparently soft power that is in reality a hard power, because China want to enter in the economy of Europe. They are trying to enter in our economy. They bought the harbor of Trieste, that is one of the most important harbor in the Mediterranean Sea, because they are trying to do the Silk Road system, starting from the harbors of Pireo in Greece, going to Albania, going to Montenegro, going to Serbia, and after entering the European Union from Italy and Slovenia. They bought the harbor of Capodistria, that is the most important Slovenian harbor, because they have an economic vision of the society. We have to know that, we have to think about that, and we don't have to say thank you for your help without looking to what China, and especially China government, and especially Xi Jinping is doing in Europe.
Yeah. And also, it's not, you're paying for this help. I mean, this is not coming free, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to finish off then, we'll just be on a more positive note. Even if it is hard to be positive at the moment, Francesco. One positive note of it is that there is a new sense of patriotism and a civic and nationalist pride amongst Italian people. I mean, we've all seen the videos of Italian people waving their flags and singing the national anthem, and it's a great national anthem. It's one of my favorites. Can you give me maybe some other examples of how it brought people together and how this national spirit has been rekindled?
Yeah, I think that we are living the win of the conservatism view of the society, because we are living the hand of the sovereign national entities. We are living the comeback of the importance of national state. We are living the rediscover of the importance of the concept of community, because in this moment the community is very important to help people, to a new solidarity, to try to help each other inside the small city, inside neighborhood in our city. We are living the rediscover of the patriotism. A lot of people every day sing our national hymn, l'Inno di Mameli. A lot of people put outside of their house our national flag, il tricolore. A lot of people rediscovered the importance of being Italian, and that's great. And also a lot of people in this situation rediscovered the importance of the religion. It was quite impressive after the Pope speech, the Pope Urbi et Orbi in San Pietro, that also a lot of non-Christian, also a lot of non-Catholic people share, for example, on Facebook, share on their house the pictures of the Pope that pray, because in this moment we understand that the world is not only linked with materialism. We understand that the world is not only linked with rationalism, so with the enlightenment ideas of the world, with the ideas of the world that are linked with the French Revolution, but we understand that in the emergency situation, the man is fragile, so all the people are fragile, so we need also a spiritual answer. We need the answer of our great religion. And so we are living the win, and we are living the moment where the conservative ideas are in the center of the society.
Well, that's good to see. I just Matteo Salvini, I don't know your opinion on him, but he made a good point on Facebook. He said that the people were not waving gay pride or LGBT banners and flags. They were waving the Italian flag, which was interesting, and they were not disrespecting the police and the army and maybe the church. They were all coming together under national pride. I mean, I thought that was quite interesting. And it was good to see. So just the future then, where do you see Italy now going forward? I mean, the Italian banks were on the verge of collapse. I mean, you'd dell'Italia. I think, I don't know if they got that bailout from the government. Then you have
I don't think.
massive national debt. I mean, will there?
There is also another point that no one outside our country underline, but we have a strong public debt. That's true. But our bank system is stronger than the German bank system. The private bank of Italy are great bank. Our bank don't have, for example, the debt of Commerzbank. A few months ago, Commerzbank and Deutsche Bank, they had to do like a fusion because they have a very big debt. Our bank are great bank. So our bank system is a solid bank system. And there is also another point that the Italian has a lot of money inside their currency. So the Italian state has a great debt, but the Italian people, compared to the German, compared to the French, compared to the other European people, have a lot of money. So fortunately, the Italians are richer than people in other European country, and that's important to underline, because also our bank system, fortunately, is a strong bank system.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know about the currency in situ.
There are also in English. You can find, I think, a lot of articles where they explain that our bank system and our private sector is great.
But it's in the currency is in euro though, so if it drops, like I don't know.
The future for Europe and for our country is a rediscover of the identity, the rediscover of our identity. We have maybe the stronger. I don't want to offend the friend of other country, but we have the strongest cultural heritage and the strongest cultural identity of the world. So we have a strong identity starting from not only the Roman Empire, but starting from before the Roman Empire with the Etrusci, with other important civilizations that lived in our country. We had the Rinascimento, we had some of the most important painters, writers all over the world, and we also have some great industry. We have some important brands like, I don't know, like Ferrari, like in the fashion. So the future for our country is the Made in Italy, but it's not only linked to the Made in Italy system, but it also linked with the industry. We have to think about an important country. We have to rediscover our importance inside the Mediterranean area. We have to rediscover the importance of the Italian interest in the Balkans, the Italian interest in Libya, in the North Africa. We have a strong geographical position in the middle of the Mediterranean area. We are the leader of the South European country. So the future for our country, if the political system understand which are the assets of our country, can be a great future. I don't view a future for our country linked to the multicultural system. I don't want a future of our country linked with the let or linked with the let of which are the Christian roots, and I don't want a future of our country that not consider which are the important value of our civilization and of our country, and also the values of Europe, but not the value of the European Union.
Okay, yeah. Well, I would share that sentiment, but I'm just worried that because a recession will loom, and I could see that maybe Chinese entrepreneurs could come in and buy a lot of Italian companies lock, stock and barrel, because they'll be very easy to buy after this, and then you'll have even more Chinese sweatshops in the north of Italy.
There is a risk. There is I agree with you. Unfortunately, there is a big risk about that. Yeah.
So, will the cozy relationship with China continue? The Belt and Road Initiative. I mean, is that going to continue, or is there a pause on that for the moment?
I think that China will continue their project with the Silk Road, because how Xi Jinping wrote in his book is a middle long-term project. So I think that the coronavirus can't stop the view of the society of Xi Jinping.
Okay, interesting. I mean, Italy was.
One last question, because we are losing.
Yeah. Just, I'm pretty much you're in the dark now. So you finished the article with an exciting and positive vision for Italy. I thought it was a very good way to finish it. That Italy can turn this around if it has the will, and so you said there is another path Italy may choose: intensifying bilateral relations with the United States was important, become the nexus of commerce in the Mediterranean, increasing its presence in the Balkans and Eastern Europe, you already mentioned the Balkans, and reclaiming its role as a centre of Christianity and Catholicism in the world. Making Italy great again is more than a dream, it's an attainable possibility. I mean, so rather than looking towards the EU, you're going to maybe, it could be a fresh start for Italy, something that probably you haven't tried in a long time, really, to do things as a centre for yourself, to stand up and say we are an important part of the continent of Europe and we should be just as much as Germany or France.
Whatever, right, is a possibility. The big problem now is the people that, maybe not only in Italy, but it's a common problem also to other countries. The big problem for us is the quality of the political system. The quality of the political system in our country is extremely low. So the big problem is that we don't have great politicians that can help our country to develop the international relation. So the big problem is not linked to the Italian people or to the asset of our country, but the big problem for this view of Italy is linked with the value of our political system, because our political system level is unfortunately too low. So if in the next year, in the next month, after this crisis, we find a new political people, a new political system with people that really want to do the Italian interest, we have all the possibility to try to do what I wrote in this article.
Yeah, well, I mean, politicians hold a lot of countries back. Does that really mean Salvini, though? Don't you need Salvini back again?
I don't know. I think that the big problem that we will have the national election in 3 years. So I don't know what can happen in 3 years. Look at the situation 2 months ago. The world was totally different. So it's difficult to say what can happen in 3 years from now. Yeah.
And just Trump, he said that America will help Italy financially. I think that was important that he said that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, Francesco, I think we covered an awful lot, and I know it's getting dark. And thanks for giving me your valuable time, your thoughts, and your insight, and for giving us the view from Italy. It was a real pleasure. Just to finish, people can check out your website, Francesco Giubilei.it, www.francescogiubilei.it, and on your Facebook as well. I think I put the links.
My name and surname, yeah.
Yeah, links in the description. So thanks, Francesco, and I really appreciate your time, and have a nice weekend.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay. So, hello everyone. So today I have the great pleasure to be... Okay, sorry. I have to ask your surname. It's a bit difficult for me.
I know. Giubilei.
Sorry, that's...
Delay, but it doesn't matter. Every time the American make a mistake with my surname, so it's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, just before we start as well, Cristino Fortunato, University of Benevento.
Yes, you can say Fortunato University of Benevento. It's fine.
Fortunato University of Benevento. Tattarella Foundation.
Mattarella Foundation, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry about this.
Don't worry.
Nazione Nazione Futura.
Okay, yes.
Futura. Okay, Futura. I think that's pretty much it.